Implementation plan is always an interesting one. Before we debrief, someone asked me, are you really certain this is all we need to do for a business plan? Someone yesterday even said, can you give us a template for business plan? I'm not looking at the person. Person requested for a template for a business plan. I promise you I have reviewed a number of business plans in this my short time, with this my short experience. And this thing that feels like just class exercise, this thing that feels like, we're just writing problem statements and writing solution statements, really is all the elements or most of the elements that the consultants factor and use in writing the business plans that they charge you $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for. So please, as much as we are having fun while at it, we're actually learning the tools that consultants use. Obviously, what they went to school to spend 2 years and 3 years to learn, they go into more detail. So for example, you can have an entire semester to learn financial plan and an entire semester to learn strategy. But it doesn't take away from the fact that these critical pieces are the building blocks for writing a comprehensive business plan. But more importantly, even if you decide to outsource the business plan writing to a consultant, you can now appropriately review the plan for quality, and you can have a meaningful conversation with your consultant. So imagine your consultant brings to you a business plan that does not have an implementation plan section. You can say to them that, please go back and include an implementation plan. But more importantly, you also have learned, how to develop a business case. And so when a consultant goes away and writes you a plan and comes back and you realize that the plan that the consultant has written is his own or our own plan and not the plan that aligns with the business case and the strategic priority of your company, you can throw it back at them and tell them this is missing such and such and such elements. And so even though we've taken just 2 days, please know that these are actually the building blocks and the infrastructural elements of a good business plan. All right, let's do implementation plan now. What table should we debrief with? Some people, they will just want to go and pay consultant $20,000 to write business plan for them. So they are not focusing. But I know the table I will go to. That table has like 200 people. The table, in fact, someone came late on the table and said, no, this is a table of professionals. On this table, you have a regulator, you have engineers, you have finance people, you even have HR. To this end, let us come to the table and have them debrief and tell us, again, you know the drill, tell us how you engaged with each other and then go into your implementation plan.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Khadija from Federal Ministry of Environment, representing Group 2. So, according to our solution statement, we talked about installing a heat recovery system at the dying unit exhaust. So, for our implementation plan, we decided. Okay, yes, the 3 points for an implementation plan is to decide whether it's in-house capabilities or technical partners, which is either external partners or vendors. So we decided to combine the two. We would have a contract with an external vendor within Nigeria. We are very correct to assume that they have a track record of 30 years of experience of such business. Yes. So they would work with the internal team, that's the maintenance team of the company.
Right.
to create space availability for the equipment. They would also train the internal team to support change.
So, unlike man, you do not want to come to Canada to get a consultant.
Yeah, because we want to skip all the whole customs and
So, how would someone like me
you
now
will
eat?
you would find them in Canada too.
All right, please go on.
Okay, so we decided the equipment procurement would to fabrication will be between 1 to 3 months.
So, for
Yes.
3 months for the equipment to be fabricated. So, it sounds like you're not getting an off the shelf solution.
No,
They have to fabricate.
they have to
this. All right.
fabricate it.
And that's why, yeah, it has to be custom made. Are you a professor of English? All right. So, it has to be custom made. And to that end, it's why it would take 1 to 3
1 to 3 months,
months. All right.
yes.
Can you notice that they did not say 3 months or 1 month? They included a buffer in there. They said, we know that in Nigeria or in a lot of places, and in certain countries that I know, when you talk to a vendor and you agree 1 month, it's like tailors. When you say to a tailor that you want to wear this clothes next week, best believe that you will collect it next month. And so what you should say when you need it next month is that you need it tomorrow. So that hopefully by next month you will now be ready. So they said 1 to 3
3 months. Yes, thank you. So for the site preparation, we also thought that the engineering team will work with the external vendor, and that should be ready in a month. Then for the installation too,
So that'll be ready in 1 month.
in 1
So
month.
we're already eating like 4 months.
Yes. So installation too by the engineering team. The installation will go hand in hand with the training, because as they are installing, they'll be training them on how to use and all of that. Yes. And that would also take a month.
Okay.
Then
So that's about 5 months already.
already,
there.
yes.
And I like the fact that they said, well, while we are installing, we can also be doing training. Right? So those two processes will go
Hand in hand.
concurrently.
Yes. So testing and going live will still be by the internal and external team that prepared the site and installed the equipment. They will test for 3 weeks. All the while, this is being monitored by the technical director of the company.
Okay. You people have not fired the technical director. Okay. Still with us.
So that would come to a total of about 6 months for this to.
That sounds to me like 5 months, 3 weeks.
Weeks, yes. About 6 months.
Oh, so you now put another 1 week buffer to make it
approximately
6
6 months.
Let's give them a round of applause. Great. All right, so you'll notice that for them, they've decided to do a made to order, or like the fabrication. What did you call that in English? Custom made. They're doing a custom made solution. They've said it will take 1 to 3 months, and they included a buffer because so that it might not be a case of what you ordered versus what you got. So there will be enough time for you. If they gave you what you got, you can still get back to what you ordered. So they included, and you'll notice that that's the one that takes the most time. The time to build the product. That's what they've decided. They said there's certain parts of this timeline that they've said will run concurrently. All right, great. So and that's training and installation. Because as you're installing, you can be training the staff. That's what they've decided. What other table can we go to that will tell us maybe theirs is slightly different from the approach that this table took? There's a table that has BOI. Plenty BOI stuff. And that table has been quiet for a bit. So therefore, we've decided to come to this table to hear what they want to do for their own implementation plan.
Okay. For the for the implementation plan, the purpose of for the purpose of professional capacity for the implementation, we have decided to hire the services of a consulting firm.
So you are going to collect consulting firm. All right, that's great. But
So
what
the consult.
solution are you trying to?
Okay, yes. For the solution, we have decided to um, install heat recovering
It
mechanism.
looks like everybody in this consulting firm, it is its recovery that you want to do. All right, that's great.
So we are going to hire the services of Swan HVAC Limited.
You even have the name of the consulting firm already.
Yes.
That's great.
So they have a 28 years working experience in procurement and installation of HVAC machines, and they also offer free 3 years after sales services and hands-on training for staffs.
Wow.
So for the equipment procurement, the equipment we'll be using is foreign, not local made.
Okay.
So because of the timeline for the procurement, custom duties and the rest, so we buffer it for a period of 6 months.
6 months, all right.
So the
Because you look like someone that does not know anybody at port.
Yes.
Because if you know someone at port, maybe you will clear the equipment faster. But that table, they said it is in Nigeria. That other table, they know people at port.
So the Swan HVAC procurement team, we work in line with our finance department for the procurement of the machines.
Right.
So in month 7, there will be site preparation done by our engineers and also by the Swan HVAC engineering department.
Right.
Then in month 8 and 9, the installation of the machine will be taking place by the Swan HVAC team and also our engineering team. So during the installation, there will also be preliminary training, and in month 10, there will be testing and commissioning of the machines by the Swan HVAC engineering team.
We're going to bring the governor to come and do this commissioning. You don't know governor.
No.
Okay,
it's just the CEOs and the
CEO that will do
the
the
CEO and the MD.
Right.
So months 11 and 12,
all right.
there will be an extensive training by the Swan HVAC team for all our engineering staff on the operation and maintenance of the machine.
All right. So there's an initial training, and then there will be a full-sized training.
So
all
that's a period of 1 year.
All right. So for you, it will take 1 year. Now, notice for them, because they're going to deploy this solution in Nigeria, they're not going abroad. They don't need to know people at the port. It's going to take them just 6 months. For these other folks, they've decided that, well, we need to go overseas. They even know the name of the consultant. Maybe they are friends with consultant. They did not do RFP process. They already have selected the consultant. And as such, for them, because of the time to come all the way from China or wherever you're buying the equipment, Germany, you want German machine. That's why it's taking them 1 year. And then they've said there are 2 types of training we'll do. We'll do the one during installation, and then we'll do another training for operation and maintenance. Another critical element that they factored into the selection of this vendor is that they said we need after-sale service. And this particular vendor provides 3 years after-sale service. So that's one of the consideration for them. Give them a round of applause. All right. These are fantastic implementation. I said they should give you one. That's why you are spending 12 months. The time that you are using time to clap during consult, don't you know we charge by the hour? All right. All right. There is something I want to draw your attention to. Greenweave Textiles Limited operates a 24-hour production line. So when you want to do 12 months and 6 months, what will happen to our production line? How many of us thought about the fact that we operate a 24-hour production line And how does this our solution that we want to deploy impact the implementation and our production? Because as the CEO of Greenweave, I do not plan to stop operation. So how have we factored in the 24-hour production line into not only our solution, but the implementation plan that we have? My dear consultants, again, I do not pretend to have an answer to that. I'm saying that when you write a plan, part of what you should think about is not write a plan for yourself. You have to think about the nuances within your own organization and how whatever solution you intend to deploy impacts the operations of the company. Because it's nice to say that it will take 1 year or 18 months or 6 months, but will this in any way impact the production line that we currently have? And are we going to say to the CEO, well, we may need to adjust this from 24 hours a day to 20 hours a day to allow for certain installation? So all those things you've got to factor into your implementation plan. If you come to me or the BOI team and you have this fantastic plan, and I ask you, but if we stop production for a bit, that would impact your revenue and your profitability. How do you intend to pay us our money? And so you remember the debt service coverage ratio that we said. It means that your EBIT is likely going to be impacted by this stoppage of production. Again, I'm not saying this is the case here. I'm just saying that I intentionally snuck that in there to see whether anybody would factor in the operation of the company in developing an implementation plan. All right. I think we should give all of ourselves a round of applause. All right. This is the part. Okay, you did not factor it in. That is fine. Let's continue. I'm not angry as the CEO. I'm the one that knows my business more than you people. You are just consultants. Let's continue. I'm not angry as the CEO. I'm the one that knows my business more than you people. You are just consultants. Even though I've given you 500 and you still come back for out of pocket and cost over. There cannot be cost overruns in this case because you did not even notice that you want to stop my business from operating for 24 hours. All right. Well, I'm the CEO of the company. And that's a great point. For example, you can say, oh no, Mr. CEO, the plan is that you only work Mondays to Fridays and that over the weekend is when we'll be doing the installation. That can be your retort to that thing. But the point is you should consider the operation of the company. All right, so the next step, we are almost about to land the plane now. We are almost there. Is funding strategy. This is the part that our accountant, there's one, I asked someone, what is his role? He said, I am chief accountant. I'm not just an accountant, I am the chief accountant. Let's see how much of a chief accountant this person truly is. What we want to do in this section is that we will talk about how much we need to raise, but more importantly, where do we want to raise this money from? Is it through debt? Is it through equity? And don't forget, you have to factor the solution, the specific solution that you want. So a lot of us want each recovery from dying units. You're trying to raise 70 million naira. Where will you get this money from? What's the plan? Do you have internal money that you want to drop and so you don't need to go to the bank at all? Would you go to the bank? Let's see what you would come up with. Now, because this is just talking about how much you want to raise and where you want to raise it from, I'm going to give you just 10 minutes. In fact, that 10 minutes is too much. All right, let's get started. will be done by 5 minutes past 1. And please be creative. Be creative. Be creative about. So this table group, for example, it is 2 solutions. So it's not only 70 million that you are looking for. You can make assumptions, but be creative. You've raised it. All right. So let's talk about our funding strategy as a consulting firm. All right. So what table are we going to start with this time? We have someone that is a finance professional. She's been our finance mommy. Started this training. And so we'll go to her to help us talk about how we will fund this project.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. So, in our group, we have decided and will reach a conclusion because in our company, which is Greenweave Textile, the CFO has confirmed to us that we have some money internally. Actually, what we need is 70 million naira.
It's recovery.
It's recovery, yes. Right. So we have about 40 million naira haidu. Yes. So what we need is additional 30 million naira to be able to finance the equipment. So we have 40 million naira and we want to source externally for the we want to source additional 30 million naira externally. So we decided that, okay, we should go for this amount at a low interest rate. So instead of waiting for grants or interest-free grants, which might take forever, we decided to go through BOI, which is bank.
Already selling market for
Yes, so yes, so.
All right.
We decided to go to BOI and we have agreed that the rate they're giving us is just 10% instead of going to the commercial banks. So this 10% of 30 million naira give us 3 million naira plus the principal. So everything total 33 million naira. And we have agreed that we are going to spread it and to pay back within the period of 36 months. So which means we are paying back less than 1 million naira monthly and annually is 11 million.
Can tell us calculated the interest element and principal. She even told us what the tenor of the loan will be. All right, so this is interesting. For them, they want to use, one class. They want to use a mix of internal fund and external fund. They said, given the size of their company, they have 40 million that is idle. They don't know what they will do with that 40 million naira. And so they said, well, this is money that we can put into its recovery from dying unit exhaust. 40 million. The remaining 30 million, they intend to go to BOI because they want cheap funds. And BOI will give them at 10%. They said, for some interesting reason, that they will not go and collect grants. That is free. Because that might take time. That's the reason. It might take some time. The grant companies that they know take time before they deploy the grant. And they want to quickly install this. And so they've decided that they would go to BOI for 30 million. Let me try and ask you an interesting question. BOI will give you this loan at 10%. You have 40 million naira on the ground. Why do you want to use that your 40 million and not go to BOI for the 70 million? Knowing that our mommy that invest in FGM bonds told us that you can get 12% returns on your money. Why are you not putting your 40 million into FGM bonds, give you 12% return, and then go and collect the 70 million naira from BOI at 10%, and you still have 2% that you can put inside your pocket?
Yes, in order to reduce the, how will I put it, the liability for the company.
Yes.
Since we have that 40 million naira idle,
Yes.
so we decided to take the additional 30 million.
Yeah.
So in this case now, the FGM bond,
Yeah.
depending on the rates or
Yeah.
the period,
Yeah.
it takes 5 to 7 years
Yeah.
if it is not an annual FGM bond. So in order to get the equipment and to increase the production capacity, whereby returns and product profits can come at the end of the year, we will overcome the interest.
All right.
Yes.
So what mommy is saying is that, well, we've done our asset and liability studies, and that the fund, there might be a mismatch between the timing of the interest coming from FGM bonds compared to the timing of the loan that we'll repay. One better response can be, Olu, if we go to BOI, BOI usually requires an equity element. And so the reason why we are not taking the entire 70 million from them is because we know that there will be a demand for equity contribution. And that's why we've decided that not the entire 70 million is what we would drop, but 40 over 70. My maths is not great like your own. I don't think they demand up to 50% equity contribution. And so when you're thinking about your funding strategy, even if you have money internally, you have to look at the alternatives. The money that you have internally, can we get more interest from it from another place? Why do we want to use the money to fund this when we can go and borrow?
It's
Sorry.
okay.
You don't want to spend the money you have in house, or maybe okay, now you put it in an investment. Now, along the line, a need comes, and you put your money in investment somewhere, and you need to get something quickly. So what do you do?
This is the beauty of, that's why we said this is a funding strategy. It's a great question, but I came prepared for you. FGM bonds are long dated, right? But they are liquid instruments. Like mommy just said, I go to the market and I buy an FGN bond, I can decide tomorrow to instruct my my account officer to say, I'm no longer interested. The other thing is, why do I have to put the money in FGM bonds when I can also put it in treasury bills, which are short-dated instruments? Why do I need to put it in treasury bills when I can put it in fixed deposits? I'm saying ultimately that it's not so much about the instrument, it is thinking holistically about the alternative uses of your fund. Because now you put the money inside this machine, but you could actually have been earning 12%, and the interest rate there is 10%. So in some sense, there's still a spread that you can put and keep inside your pocket. All right. What other table should we go to? I think we have a bit of time. This table that is asking me questions, they should tell us their own solution to the problem.
Okay, so we actually looked at the first two measures, and that's a sum of 115 million. So our group, we painted a scenario that the first measure is it reduces 200,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per year. So that's an attraction for green funding. So we've said we have a CDM consultant in our team. So we're going to source 50% of the 115 million from grants. We'll look for those green financing bodies that are climate change conscious, and then we'll source 50% of the grant. The remaining 50%, my finance expert.
Okay, so riding on what we had discussed earlier on, and then also looking at various options. So as a going concern, definitely we have some retained earnings. And then you've spoken about, oh, I might have placed it in bonds or depending on whatever it is. So we said, okay, let us dip from our post 25% of the outstanding balance and then go to BOI for 25%. So in as much as I don't want, I could feel open to your option of going to BOI for the full amount, but I am looking at also my leverage level, yes, as a going concern. So with this approach, from the grant 50%, from our pocket 25% to show our commitment to our business and to also give more confidence to our shareholders, and then from BOI, who's going to give us a 10% and over a very, very long period of time to pay down. I think this structure is one that will suit our proposal to management for consideration.
All right, thank you. Please give this table a round of applause. We forgot to give them a round of applause. And then we should give this table a round of applause as well. No, hold the mic. I want to give me back the mic. Hold the mic. You know, what is said is that we're going to be smart about this. Because we have a solution that has an environmental, impact here. We know that there are a lot of green funds today that prioritize emissions reduction, would make a list of those funds and would apply to those funds, and we hope that we'll be able to get about 50% of the total amount that we want to raise. What that means is that we'll be getting grants at near 0%, right? And so why should we not prioritize that? The other thing they did was to say that, well, the remaining 50%, we'll split it into two. We'll go to our friends at BOI and collect 25%, and the other 25% would, dip our hand into our retained earnings. For those who know the meaning of retained earnings is profits that you've had over the years that you've accumulated. That's why, I'm not too smart. It's earnings that have been retained. Earnings that we did not spend. Earnings that we did not give to shareholders. One of the reasons why you retain these earnings is for the exact thing you just described. Sometimes it's for expansion. Sometimes it's for emergency situations. Sometimes it's also to say we would expand later down the line. We don't always want to go and borrow. Now, because this man is a finance person, he preempted my question. Now, why would you still put hand inside your pocket for the remaining 25%? And he gave a very smart response. He said, because of our leverage ratio. What he's saying is that at the moment, We already have a bit of debt on our balance sheet. We don't want to be overburdened with debt, because part of the thing that the bank will look at beyond debt service coverage ratio is how much debt do you already have on your balance sheet. Do you want to kill yourself with debt? And so what is said is that on their own balance sheet, they have a target leverage ratio that they are shooting for. And so what they've decided to do is, in order not to overburden their balance sheet with debt, even though debt is cheaper than equity, they've decided to split the remaining half into two, get some from their balance sheet because they have a LD balance sheet and cash reserve, and the remaining will go to BOI. So if you look at it, if you try to rank this from cheapest to highest, 50% grant, very cheap. 25% from BOI because it attracts just 10%. And the third one is the money they will take from their balance sheet. Someone will stop me and say, but the one they will take from their balance sheet is cheap. Remember that equity is the most expensive. That the remaining 25%, they could have given it to shareholders and disbursed it as dividend. They are stopping the shareholders from collecting money today. Is why that is more expensive than going to BOI. A round of applause for that table again. All right. This is that part when you are flying, when they say that you should, we're about to what? We're about to land. Please stop going to the washroom now. You should strap yourself because cabin crew prepare for landing. We're about to land. The final part of this is to come up with risk section. But remember what we said. It's not enough to come up with the list of risk. You have to include mitigation strategies. And so when you consider the problem, you consider the solution, you consider your implementation plan, you consider your funding strategy, what risk have you identified is present within this whole sections that we've worked on? And how do you intend to mitigate those risks? You don't have to come up with 20. We can do maybe just 3 per table, and we will start now. I'm going to give you just, because you are doing just 3 risks, I'm going to give you just 10 minutes for you to conclude both risk and mitigation strategy. Thank you. And so we'll come back at, in fact, 8 minutes. We'll come back at 1:30 to come and debrief on this. So we've begun our descent into Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Questions over. All right. Cabin crew prepare for landing. All right. So for this particular part of the debrief, what we will do is that we would allow each table to give us one risk and mitigation strategy that they want to give. So we will start from table 1 and go to table 2, on to table 3, and then to table 4, and then to table 5. One class, please. One class, please. One class, please. Discussions over. Table 1. Table 1. Can you please give us one risk? But remember, You just will not give us risk, you'll give us the mitigation strategy.
All right.
Please, let's listen to them, please.
Okay, for us in this group, my name is Obasaro Timi. For us in this group, we're going with technical risk. Yeah. Our solution is water waste reuse system. So we will be going with technical risks that are likely to come up with that. And we have observed that we are likely to have 40 equipment in the process. When we try to implement the wastewater reuse system, we're likely to have 40 equipment. And in addition to that, we are also likely to have installation faults, probably from the contractor.
So when you say faulty equipment,
Yes.
what do you mean? Are you going to roadside implementation partner?
Okay. No, what we're saying there basically is, I know. So what we're trying to say there is that we're simply saying that, yes, when we say 40 equipment, we're simply looking at the probability of the equipment that we're using to just develop fault, and which is possible. And in order to avoid that, we have already put like a mitigation strategy in place. And one of the mitigation strategies we have put in place is a warranty agreement between we and the contractors. And apart from that, we also look at having a legal agreement when they are doing the installation. We also look at having a legal agreement with them that, we give you so 3 months to install this thing. If you don't meet up with that particular 3 months, either we will not pay you the balance. Yes, now. We're very strict. So it will be a legal agreement that we're going to put in to mitigate that particular risk. Thank you, sir.
In your implementation plan, did you include legal departments when you were explaining your implementation plan?
Yes. Yes. We included it.
You want to do mago with you?
We included it. We included it. We included HR.
Sorry, one class. So we have table 1.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we
one
included
class.
HR.
One class, please. We have table 1. Table 1 said they've identified technical risk, and they were specific about the technical risk they identified. They said there's the potential for the equipment that is installed to be faulty.
Yes.
Okay, if that's your risk, they said the mitigation strategy is that they would include a warranty clause
In the contract.
and that they would also include what again?
We also enforce a legal agreement.
Enforce a legal agreement. But it so happened that when they wrote their implementation plan, there was no mention of the legal team or the role of the legal team. They said it is HR that will draft legal agreements.
No.
The HR person has looked at us and said, how? Sorry, one class, please. One class, please. They said it is HR that will write legal agreements. The only HR person present at this table immediately removed himself. Said, how? How can I draft legal agreements?
We have something to say.
Meaning that what you can say to me. Let me hear what you want to say.
All right. What I actually want to say about that is that when we're entering into this procurement agreement, which is part of our processes that we're doing, we actually involve the procurement department, we involve the finance, and in addition, we involve the legal department when we're entering into that contract with those contractors.
All right. What he's saying is that implicit in our procurement process is the involvement of HR. That our procurement process is such that in our procurement team, we have legal personnel there. It's already baked into our procurement process. That was not what you said. I have just helped you. Team 2.
No, but right, that's what I said.
Please give them a round of applause, by the way. What I am trying to show you is that you have to take a holistic approach.
Thank you, sir.
All right, who will represent us? No, it's this bros that must represent us. Because he said there are a lot of professionals on this table. All right, there you go. They are still deliberating on which risk. As CEO, I have a flight to catch.
Okay. So we are going with the market.
What's your name, sir, by the way?
My name is David.
David, all right.
Yes, thank you. So we are going with the market risk.
That's surprising because a lot of the trainees, I haven't found any table that spoke about market risk. So it's bold.
So starting from our financial strategy, how we funded the installation was with an agreement with our distributors. So we encouraged them to make more deposits for supplies. And then since in that period, production will fall by 40% due to downtime. So we had a discussion with them that this is going to be a mutually beneficial agreement and will reflect it with their rebates somewhere in the future. So now it's not costing us any risk. It's a win-win agreement. So now in light of this, the risk that may apply is that there could be a surge in demand, especially in the festive periods when there'll be greater demand for apparel. So
even though tailors will still disappoint.
Like I know your marriage must have been in the festive period in December.
You know that I'm married.
Oh, I know you're planning to be in December when everybody's back. Okay, so with that now, when we have that surge, it's going to affect our reputation because to make our to expose our distributors. So the mitigation there is we'll implement two strategies. Number one is to demarket so that there is less attention on our product in that period.
Explain to us what demarket is. Because some of us are not smart. We wanted to do pharmacy. You were not here yesterday. I wanted to do pharmacy. They gave me agricultural economics. So how can I understand demarket?
Okay, demarket is a strategy you utilize when the demand for your product is outstripping your capacity to supply. So you reduce your exposure so that there is lesser demand. So that's one strategy. The second strategy we are going to use is price increment. So when you increase price, some of your customers will be forced to go to other brands. So that will literally reduce the pressure on the distributors. So
that's great. See what they said. They said, number one, they want to reduce the number of people that will come and buy from them. Number two, they will now still increase the price of their products. In Nigeria, we know that prices do not follow the law of gravity. When prices go up, they keep going up. So now that you've increased your price and you've lost market share, how do you intend to recoup this market share that you have so lost?
Okay, in the first place, the reason we got there was that the demand was higher than our capacity to supply. So that means when that drop...
The capacity to supply only got reduced because you now have production timeline.
Yes.
Production lag. Ordinarily, you could fulfill the demand you were getting.
Exactly.
It's because you've insisted you want to do RECP by fire, by force.
Exactly.
That's why now you have demand that has outstripped supply.
Exactly.
So you want to demarket and lose market share. How do you intend to regain this market share after you've implemented the solution?
So after we've implemented the solution, we are now going to launch promotions, campaigns. That will allow us to now recoup those customers we lost and also acquire new customers. And now we expect that with the savings we are making, we should be able to even expand our capacity. So it will help us to be able to meet up.
All right. So don't forget, what we're trying to do is to push people
to think critically about not only the risk that they've identified, but more importantly, the mitigation strategy that you're putting in place. Because all of a sudden, you want to reduce the amount of customers that will be buying from you, meaning that revenue goes down, profit margin goes down, and when you go to BOI, they will look at you and say, oh boy, the 70 million you want to come and collect from our hand, with the potential for reduction in revenue and reduction in profitability, how do you intend to pay back? Part of your strategy is that you even have said you don't want more customers. You want to reduce your customers. What he has said is, well, we don't want reputational risk. We hold our brand near and dear to our hearts. What we intend to do, and this is their own strategy, come to another class for us to talk about poking holes into your strategy. But this is their strategy, and this is their response to me. They've said that reputation for them is more important. We don't want a situation where people are coming to us and we can't meet that demand. And so what we'll do is to try and demarket, whatever that means. We'll demarket, but we know that we'll get savings after we are done with this. What we intend to do with the first 2 years of the savings that we get is to put it back into marketing. We'll put it back into discounts. And that's the way we intend to lure back our customers. Whether that will work or not is a story for another day. But thank you for attempting to do market risk. A round of applause for them. Don't lose customers. All right. Table 3. Let's hear your own risk and the mitigation strategy.
Okay. The risk involved.
Class, please. One class.
One of the risks.
One class, please.
One of the risks involved is fluctuations of foreign exchange. Because
so for them, it's financial risk, and they've identified what foreign exchange
fluctuation.
Are you the one that wanted to do 12 months?
Yes.
Okay, and you're the ones that want to go and import the product.
Yes.
From. Okay, so they've rightly identified the fact that they would have to buy this product with FX. And so they've said that there is fluctuation in the country at the moment of FX. So they are exposed to foreign exchange risk. How do you intend to mitigate this risk? Do you have dollars stored up somewhere?
We have projected that a 5% increase just for a buffer in the purchase of the equipment. So we already have about 10% of the total funds invested in money market. So just in case of any form of fluctuation, we can easily mitigate it.
All right. So what he has said is that even though this equipment is 70 million, what they've decided to borrow is 77 million.
Oh, we have already internal funds.
Oh, right. So they've got internal funds, right? So they will go and still borrow the 70 million.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So it's recovery. The day they sized this, exchange rate got them to 70 million as the cost of the product. But they know that this product, given the FX fluctuations in the market, that this product might go up. What they did was to take 10%, the value of 10% of the product, 7 million, they put it in a money market fund. So they placed it and said, we are going to use this as a buffer to address foreign exchange risk. One of the smart things they've done is to take that 7 million naira and not just put it as cash, as just cash. They've put it in money market so that it will be generating interest. In the event, ordinarily we used to say in the unlikely event, but in this situation, because it's Nigeria and it is FX we are talking about, in the likely event that FX goes up, they can go to this amount that they've placed that is serving as a buffer for the FX fluctuation. The only challenge is that one day, dollar can be 450 naira. And by the stroke of one pen, dollar can become 1,000 naira. How did you decide that 10% is enough as a buffer? Let's push you.
Um, judging on it by the financial report, at least 1 month financial report, Nigerian naira to dollar has been stable and it has not gone beyond 5%.
Great stuff. Now, what they're saying is, that's great. What they're saying is that we did not just pull this 10% out of the atmosphere. What we did was to do a trend analysis of dollar rates over the past 6 months. Over the past 6 months. And we noticed that dollar increases have just been limited to 5%. What we did, though, was to bake in an extra 5% buffer because we know that when prices go up in Nigeria, they keep going up. So rather than, even though we did our risk please, one clap. We did our risk assessment analysis. We noticed that FX has only gone up by 5% over the past 6 months, but we've still decided to be conservative. We did a 10% buffer. We did not leave the money idle. We put it in money market placement so that in whatever happens, we are confident that we will still be able to buy the equipment. Please give them a round of applause. That's solid. Where's table 4? Table 4. Okay, this is table 4. Can you tell us what the risk is and what your mitigation strategy?
Okay. So as part of our implementation plan, one activity that we added into ours was for there to be a technical design of the measures that we wanted to embark on. So what that does is that at least a lot of work was put into this action, and not just working alone with my internal competent staff, but also with the vendor and the consultants. What that does again is that we're able to emphasize any kind of risk that that will be associated with both technical and operational exposures in the future. To add more function, more comfort to that was that to which that we are going to engage to deploy this measure is one who is of high repetition. What's that word again? Years of experience and the capacity to deliver. He has done track record. Yes, that's what I'm calling. So he has done similar installations for other companies, and then we also ensure that we have a warranty and a after-service arrangement with the vendor. Also, when it comes to operation, I said I was going to combine operational and technical. Yes, sir. So for the operational risks on this measure, definitely there's going to be a lot of training and a lot of testing before we deploy. Now, you also mentioned the fact that because this is a going concern and we operate 24 hours already, we'll be going for items that are not exactly off the shelf because there's a design that went into it. But we'll be looking at vendors who might have gone through the logistics of bringing in this equipment, have an issue before we pay them. So that also reduces the turnaround time before they have to deliver and install this equipment, and gives comfort to the management of the company that yes, these two approach, we've thought it through properly, right from the technical design that we had we had embarked on, and operational wise and technical wise, things will fall out as planned.
You see this table 4?
Yeah, I mentioned.
They said like 500 risk and 500 mitigation strategy, even though we requested for 1. But there was something he said that I found interesting. He said one of their mitigation strategy to the potential for deployment or installation risk is that they will go with a vendor that has track record. But interestingly, this vendor that has track record, they plan not to pay that vendor until the vendor delivers. What confidence do you have that the vendor will carry the equipment from their country, be bringing it to your own office without collecting 1 kobo?
Okay, so it's obviously a vendor that we have been working with over time. Okay. That's why we're saying we are doing an upgrade and then just tweaking our existing equipment.
Okay.
So we're just assuming that yes, it's somebody we have been working with and has a relevant track record.
So
with
because
that,
I know you now,
yes,
I want to do work for you, and you will not pay me anything.
no, what I actually meant was that so as to reduce the turnaround time, we would want them. It's still going to be imported equipment.
Yes.
And components.
Yes.
But they would have representatives already. It's part of what we know as one of their interesting attraction for us to them. They always have those equipments down in the country, and then maybe a few that are not there, they will just quickly get it in, and then it reduces the turnaround time when it comes to installation.
Great. What they are saying is that the vendor we are going to use is one that we've been using for a while, and this particular vendor has an arrangement that if we've worked with you for more than 2 years, we've got a vendor financing arrangement in place that allows us to deliver upfront without charging you any amount. We are going to tap into that clause that vendor has, and that's what we are going to use to mitigate the risk of delivering an equipment that does not fit into what we want to do. So we've studied very carefully this vendor's, financing arrangement, and we know that part of that arrangement is that if we've worked with you for a while, there is the possibility for them to deliver first without collecting payment. Whether does such vendors exist or not is left to be seen. Give them a round of applause. All right. At this point, the pilot has not only said cabin crew prepare for landing. They've said cabin crew sit for landing. Can we come to the fifth table and hear the risk that you have and the mitigation strategy that you intend to put in place? Thank you, madam. I haven't heard your voice.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Sorry, one class.
I'm Engineer Victoria. So in our group 5, we considered operational risk.
All right, operational risk.
Yes.
Great.
This is because the operational risk, we have to consider the challenges in executing or operating the project due to internal factors such as human errors that may come up in the course of executing, in the course of running the equipment.
And if I remember clearly, this table is wastewater.
No, heat.
It's recovery.
Yes,
this was the table where we were doing tete a tete. All right.
Because of human error, there could be accident that will about or serious injury that could drag the company into a kind of public eyesore and about reputational risk too. And there could also be kind of after that, okay, it could also be a kind of equipment malfunctioning too, just because of this human error. So, in trying to mitigate that, we suggest that there should be training, frequent training, regular training. We should also have standard operating procedures also, and we should also ensure that not one person operate the machine. They should have a lot of people that have been trained, equipped, that one person does not man the equipment at a time. At least let there be 2 or 3 people that can watch over the machine and be like, no, this is not what to do at this point. This is what you should do so that they can reduce these errors. Thank you.
Thank you. You can tell she's an engineer. Sizing. Error. And that the way to mitigate this is that we'll find not just 1, but 2 people at least to utilize the machine at every given point. Meaning that this kind of people, they will not do this thing when they are doing the work. They will just be focused. There will be one person that will be focused on what the other person will do. Is that how you intend to mitigate human error?
We have trainings too.
All right. So she said we would have trainings. But it's interesting that when you look at their implementation plan, they didn't have trainings.
No, we have training.
They had training. They had training. Not trainings.
Okay.
In their implementation plan. Because I thought the implementation
There could be
plan.
adjustment because of doing your work.
Great stuff. Now, a business plan is a living, breathing document, meaning that when you write your business plan, it's not a one and done thing. There are opportunities for you to adjust the plan as you deploy and as you go along and as new information come to light. So, for example, at the point of installation, you realize that there might be a lot of human error included in this. And so we would adjust our implementation plan beyond just one training to multiple trainings. Yeah. And as an engineer, you've prioritized safety. Give them a round of applause. So it looks like, on one table we talked about, technical risk. On another table we talked about market risk. On one table we talked about financial risk, foreign exchange risk specifically. On another table we talked about plenty risk. On another table we talked about operational risk and those arising from human error. This shows us that even though we are looking at the same company, most of us even selected the same equipment, there are multiple risks that can come up. In fact, some of us might go and borrow money that is floating interest rates. And I spoke about this yesterday. There's the potential for interest rate risk as well as part of financial risk. I absolutely love your plan to address the foreign exchange risk. Great stuff. I love your plan on how you want to solve for the technical risk by including the legal team. Your plan is an interesting one around market risk and how you want to demarket and all of that. But I like the fact that you said, well, because we have savings, we intend to deploy that savings. The savings will not just sit idle. We would use the savings. Yes, what and such and such that we intend to use the savings for. There's someone prioritizing safety, and that's critical as well. And then we have the person that wants to tap into vendor financing as well to solve whatever vendor issues that might come up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. What we've done today is to not only, or what we've done through the course of this training, is not only to arm ourselves and equip ourselves with theoretical knowledge. We've tried to practicalize what it means to write a business plan. What we've noticed, though, is that a business plan is a holistic document. When we were writing problem statements, we were so focused on the problem that when we started writing our solution statement, some of us forgot to tie the solution back to the problem that we've identified. When we were writing implementation plan, some of us forgot to talk about the 24-hour operation and the production line of the company. When we were writing our risk and mitigation strategy, some of us forgot that we need legal to be involved in this. What I'm saying is that when you write your business plan and you're done writing it, it's important that you then step back to read this as a whole and just one document, such that it's not like you have written 5 different or 6 different documents. While you write each section separately, you want to step back to be sure that we are reading a consistent, comprehensive plan that ties end to end. Remember what we said about the 4th important reason for a business plan? We said a business plan connects the dots. Ensure that when you're done writing your business plan, because sometimes it's a strategy team that will do market research, or even an external consultant. The finance team will do financial strategy. The engineering team will write the technical solution. But once you're done, ensure that someone steps back and reads it from beginning to end, and ensure that you've written there's a consistent thread that runs through the entire plan. With these few words of mine, I hope I've been able to convince and not to confuse you that you've all become business plan consultants. Thank you. people paid $10,000 to $20,000 for. And that never at the point you think that you're not taking away quality from the training. You should go confidently into conversations now about business planning, right? And do not pretend to be the professional, but at least you can have a meaningful, sensible conversation, even if you decide to outsource the writing of your business plan to an external consultant. Thank you. So guys,
I just wanted to wrap up from our side as the international consulting experts. First, I want to thank each and everyone here for the 2 days grilling sessions. What we are doing here now is exactly what UNIDO and other regulatory bodies like MAN are doing in other countries within the UNIDO project. Okay? What you have learned in this last 2 days, as my boss had mentioned, is actually what most companies in Europe, some in Nigeria, they send their dedicated staff to these courses, and they pay up to about $5,000 to $10,000 per head. Per head. You may be getting this for free now, but I want you to add the monetary value to what you have done in the last 2 days. So we are, how many in this room? Let's say 20 to 25. That's about $25,000 that would have been paid by your organizations or collectively. So it's a lot. I want you to go home without trivializing this. Okay? My Oga will tell us the next steps, what we'll be doing. But I want to thank everybody here today for these last 2 days. You've been amazing. More than amazing. Irrespective of your sector or the sections you are working within any organization, you'll find out that your output in the last 2 days had somehow provide or positioned you to have the finance background of how things are done within a company. All of a sudden, you are not afraid when it comes to things like this. Because I know how it is. When finance calculations are going, you say, finance guys, I better take over. But no, you've seen that it actually interplays within departments and divisions within a company. So I want to thank you very much for all what you've learned. We'll be going forward to displaying and doing that as our Oga will advise us within your companies or your organizations. So thank you very much for the attention. Thank you for the engagement. And I pray that, I hope that whatever we've done here today not only end in Chelsea Hotel, the output you'll be seeing it in your companies or your organizations. So thank you very much for everything, sir. Thank you.
Distinguished participants, as Olumide said, all the consultants now. What do you call them now? Olumide, what do you call them now? Business consultants. It's my pleasure to call on BOI representative so shortly.
Thank you. Anyway, my mission is very short. It's just to convince, where is the madam, that our loan is at 10%. Yeah. Okay. Yesterday she was doubting it. Olumide was telling her that his steps. He said, "No, are you sure?" Yes, it's always interesting, when people find out that BOI loan is as low as 10%. Yeah, because we know what is obtainable outside there. But you have to look at it from the standpoint of what is BOI meant for. BOI is not a commercial bank. We are what we call development finance bank. So our role is to work on industrial development within Nigeria. The federal government have various development finance institutions. We have infrastructure bank, who are meant to work on, developing infrastructure within the country. Bank of Agri, that is meant to work on primary agriculture development in the country. We have Federal Mortgage Bank, which is meant to work on development of housing within the country. And also we now have BOI. We are to work on industrialization within the country. So you can see the various, and that is why our loan is not meant to be like the regular loan, because it's meant to drive a purpose. It's not for profit, but to drive a purpose. And that's why you can see our loan is as low as 10%. And the maximum you can get is 15%, which is when you are taking working capital, which we don't normally give, but once in a while, we are, prompted to do that, just to support our customers. Now bringing it home to the program where we are here today. BOI, we partner with so many institutions to provide funds, because government does not fund us. So we go out to raise funds, and we partner with organizations to raise funds. So in one of such things, we had a partnership, GEF-UNIDO and MAN, and there is a fund that was available specifically for energy efficient and resource efficient and cleaner production equipment. So for this, we have the product is tailored for that. And the single obligor limit is up to 100 million that you can access as a company. However, there are conditionalities. One, the tenor is for 4 years. The interest rate, as we have said, is 10%. And then you have a moratorium period of 6 months on principal. That is, in the first 6 months of taking the loan, you will only be paying interest. You won't start paying principal. That's what it means. That now means that since what's it called? The tenor is 4 years, which is 48 months. That means you are going to pay principal over a period of 42 months. You understand? So that is what it means. And pardon me? Pardon me? 6 months on the principal, yes, but you pay interest from month 1, exactly. And the tenor is for 4 years. And then the interest, like I said, is 10%. However, to access it, that's what I'm going to. So there's an equity contribution of between 10 to 30%. It's between 10 to 30, depending on how much you are assessing and when we do our assessment. So your equity contribution is between 10 to 30. That is maximum of 30 and minimum of 10% contribution, like you call it down payment. But however, most often times, this equity contribution, at times we assess it in how will I call it now, Tolu? Not cash. Maybe you want to install equipment, you want to get equipment, but you've done foundation, those foundation, and it costs, it's part of the equipment, whatever. So the project cost. So yeah, we can see it as part of land ownership might not be included in that because yeah, infrastructure, yeah, exactly. So so let me now you have to have collateral, and the collateral is easy. We have all asset debenture. All asset debenture is you giving us a charge over all your present and future assets, that in case you default, which we expect that you will not default, because we know we are all good businessmen and women, because we want to, because when you pay back your loan, we have more money to give others, and you can also come back, and by coming back, we have Hall of Fame, we have programs for our good customers that they benefit from. Then outside that, you can give us bank guarantee, and you can also give us a legal mortgage. And you can also give us legal mortgage for for the facility you are assessing, which I said is up to a maximum of 100 million per obligo. For BOI, we have other products, not only this product. We have our own products. This product that I've just showcased to us is for energy efficient and is in partnership with those institutions. And so it's specifically for those purposes. But we have our own facility that is for various equipment procurement, not necessarily energy efficient. But I think what we are driving all over the world now is energy efficiency. And in BOI fund, you can access more than 100 million. It depends on how much you want and how robust we are when you come. We can do 100 billion if God give us the money. But I don't think anybody want to do a factor of 100 billion. So basically, that is the long and short of it. So we encourage you, through the man, you can always reach us. We are available. We are available in 36 states right now. We are available in 36 states plus FCT. So you can reach us, and you can reach our colleagues in all those states, and you can access those facilities. Our requirements are basic requirements of you must be a registered company, you must have a business plan, and we must see evidence of what you want to buy. And note, we won't give money to you because you want to buy equipment, we give you money. No. You give us your supplier, we verify the supplier, and we release money. Where you give bank guarantee, we release money to the commercial bank because the commercial bank has guaranteed that fund. But we still monitor utilization. Do you understand? So we will not give you cash, so that you won't say, one man came and spoke in Abuja and said, just apply, we will give you money. No, we will not give you cash. We don't give cash. That's one of the mitigants that we put in place to avoid diversion of funds. And we got there by virtue of experience. BOI has been existing over 60 years. So you can know Nigerians have shown us shege. So that's based on that, we learn from past experience, and we don't give cash. And that's why I said we give working capital, but it's based on on rare occasion, because working capital is cash, so we don't just give everybody. So thank you.
For your loan outside this project, what is the interest rate?
Outside of the project, it depends. It depends on the amount. So it ranges as well from 10. That's why I say it ranges from 10 to 15%.
So in short, for this project?
For this project is 10. But for our other products, we have those of 11, we have those of 12, we have 13, but maximum is 15% for BOI loan. And I know in commercial bank today, we have as low as 33% and as high as 48%. Yeah. Any other questions? Sorry. I can take a bow. All right, thank you.
Once again, another round of applause for our dear brother. I don't like doing this, but by the requirements of the project, I think it's expedient that we do it. Recall yesterday, if you look at the program yesterday, there's a segment that talks about our assessment. I know you'll be wondering, is it just what we have done now that you want to assess us on? The answer is no. When we'll be having Olumide next time, I think September, that's when we'll be conducting the assessment for this. And by the special grace of God, God sparing our lives, I believe all of us will be there as well. But however, this assessment is largely on IEE and RECP. Trust me, just very simple questions in objectives, and you have some that are subjective. The only people that are exempted are, number one, our partner from the university. Then number two, if you are a finance person that you are just being exposed to this project for the first time. So I would like to see your hand so that we can immediately identify you and exclude you. But if you still want to, there is no harm in also being part of it if you want to, really, really want to. The what? The first category, I'm referring to our partners from the university. The second category, if you're an accountant, you recall that this is your first, you will see that this is your first time of being exposed to this program. Some of us have been on this program since 2021. Some were with us in Uyo, where we did both the IE and RECP leg of methodology. So if you are not an accountant that is just participating for the first time, you are not exempted. The requirement is just to, like I said, trust me, it's just simple questions. Like my in-laws will say, it's objective, largely objective. You can do tumbu if you don't know. Because we are moving to the next stage, which is intermediate stroke advanced. And because of the cost implication, we may not be able to carry everybody. We want to have a yardstick. Like you've been told severally, I'm from Manufacturer Association of Nigeria. And dealing with members, bear witness with me. You need to specify, have clear-cut justifications for whatever you are doing, because not all of them will be able to cross. The same thing with some experts that we have here, consultants that are represented here, not all, because we'll be having certification program on ISO 50001, ISO 14000 for selected few. So we want to have yardstick with which we can clearly sieve and also be able to decide who will migrate and move to the next phase, because it's a certification thing. At the end of the whole program, certificates will be issued to those that have participated in the program. On that note, I would like to rest my case, even though I'm not a lawyer. Once you are done with the IEE, which is the first one segment, the paper for RECP will be distributed. Because of time, so that our launch will not get cold, I will advise we spend just 10 minutes to just run through them. If it's too small, we can extend, say, 15 minutes. Thank you for your cooperation.